Good stuff. But yeah, I do always like to remember what Ophel talked about as far as the sphere of influence. You know, there may be things, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things that we want as far as goals and, you know, desires and stuff that lie outside of our control. But that doesn't mean that you can't find your way there. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be somebody who is very wealthy, you've got to find a way to command that money into your bank account. And it's not going to happen from just summoning Bune and crossing your fingers and offering her some chocolate cake. It's going to take some more. It's going to take some more. But the whole thing is, if you don't come to that realization, if you stop at summoning Bune and offering a chocolate cake, if that's where you stop, don't be surprised if not much happens, you know. But if you know what to expect and you have an anticipation for what's going to happen, like maybe expect that by summoning Bune, you're actually opening a channel, you're opening a communication line to receive the data of how to get from point A to point B. If you're using that ritual and that spirit as a focus point to receive information on how to get there, then you go a lot further, because now you can receive ideas, you can receive an education on the subject, you can receive plans, you can receive things to test, you can receive a better mindset to handle the wealth. Because more than likely, if your goal and your dream is to be a millionaire, more than likely you don't have the mindset to handle $1 million or 2 or 10. So let's summon Bune for the mind to handle that money. Just like the Christians would say, pray for a mind to handle abundance, right? This ain't nothing different from Christianity to any belief system. It's universal, it's human. The context is the same. The content differs.
That's what I was studying mostly the first couple weeks of the focus thing. Was I was looking up a lot of Sumerian and Babylonian the literature, and seeing like the parallels between Christianity and stuff, and seeing how it's like almost the exact same thing, just written with different names, different places, like the flood story, same. Noah's Ark pretty much is in the Inu and all of that. And I'm just like, wow. It's just the content that's changed and the context that is completely different. And it's just like the stories where they see that not Moloch, but damn, what was his name? The
Nitric Cratrix, the flood story. I don't know art. When I read that, that was my red pill moment. When I was like, wait, what?
exactly.
I was like, I thought this was supposed to be original.
And it's funny because I
But it's
learned
in another book that I was like, oh shit. And then that's when studying became a thing. I was like, oh,
exactly.
Years ago.
And it's like you see how a lot of the religions or the monotheistic religions were based off of like a lot of the pagan stories or the Sumerian Babylonian stories, especially the Abrahamic religions that we have now. It's like you can look at like the inoculation, find an audiobook on it, look at all the stories. It's just like the exact same thing, even with Greek mythology, Roman mythology. You look back to like what the Egyptian and pre-dynastic stuff. It's just like okay, the exact same thing, different names, different same roles, but different names and different effects of what they had in their society. But it's the same cut and paste story. And it's just like you look at the intellectual web and they try to grandize these stories as being the hero's journey or being the moral post that we should take up, but it's just like maybe there's something deeper than just morality or something deeper than just being a hero that these stories are replicating. Maybe it's a cycle, maybe it's just telling us the cyclical nature of things or like the pendulum swing of things. And it's like you look at like read up on a lot of philosophy that's like trying to parse out the problems that we face and how to go about them with philosophy. And then like you look at the Kabbalion and you look at the rules and it's just like, wow, we can everything that philosophy is talking about is pretty much described in the Kabbalion. And it's summed up in like rules, like a pendulum swing to the right, the pendulum swing to the left. But then you go into philosophy and it's just like, wow, if we do these set of things and this set of things happen, then it must mean this effect is wrong. And you'll have the other person who's arguing with it, like, but if we do this and we do that, then this is wrong. And it's just like, things we are at the moral conflict. And it's just like, that's literally the pendulum. And it's like a lot of these intellectual dark web people and a lot of philosophy is just dealing with that pendulum and always trying to find a justification for the middle point of the pendulum, for the potential energy of it. Like we know when we look at mathematics and we do parabolas, or like if you throw a baseball up and if it's at its peak, it's gaining its potential energy. Its kinetic energy is at zero. That's all potential right there. And it's just like it could go back the other way, or go back this way. But at this point, it's just all potential. And I think with that pendulum swing, it's just like right, left. No matter what the content is, the content will either sway this way or that way. And if we describe it in mathematical senses, like -10 plus 10, it's going to be 0. -2 plus 2 is going to be 0. -5 plus 5 is going to be 0. Like I can have the same point you have, but on my side of the fence, but they always clash and meet in the middle. So it's just like who's truly right, what is absolute truth, what is wrong.
So it would make sense to, number one, find out where you're emotionally invested and try to remove that emotional investment so it can be understood clearly. For example, when being attached to, say, Christianity or Islam, and you're seeing that there are different parables in place, different stories, even different traditions, but you think that they only belong to your religion and your practice. But then you often see that another spiritual system is doing the same thing, but you're emotionally invested in this one. So now you're ready to fight. And you plug up your ears when somebody says, hey, they have a common origin. You can't, I mean, obviously they do because you see it. These people over here do this. These people over here do the same thing. They just call it something different. It's the same thing. But if you're emotionally invested, you can't see that. So if you're able to remove the emotional investment, you can see a bit more clearly. That would be an example of adding -2 to +2 to make 0 again. And the more that you can find that in your emotionally invested belief systems,
It's
the more
4
you
o'clock.
can. Thanks, Maxine. Thanks, Mackenzie. The more you can do that, the more you can remove yourself from being emotionally invested to your belief systems, the more you can go back to 0, which is unconditioned consciousness. Because everything that we think that we are and everything that we define our reality with is a negative or a positive, and we want to get back to 0. That's the sattvic state. That's getting control of that noose and that sphere that prana shakti holds.
Mm.
Be a master of self and your desires and your fears.
With the chaos being thing, and people who got introduced to this information through Panic or Bobby Hammett, they really pick up on the chaos being things and Melanites. It's like they see it as that was appealing to the egoic part of their being to get them on board with that information. Like there had to be an appeal to the ego for them to further their study to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can find so many contradictions within literature and arc study is like, okay, maybe melanin isn't the end all be all. Maybe that was just a tactic for these teachers to get on board, get you on board with the information. And it's like there you can go out to your own thing. And it's like when I revisit these teachers, Panic and Bobby Hemmett, it's like now I can see myself shutting out things that they're saying. Like, oh, it's all because of the black woman. We have this, the black man, we have this. And it's just like, Okay, well, if that was the case, how is it modeled now versus what you're saying?
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people kind of foster their ego and go on to other spaces where they're trying to preach this truth that they've discovered from appealing to that ego that these teachers have appealed to.
Look
Which
at
is
this whole thing.
discounting them, but
Look at this whole thing kind of like germ inoculation or virus inoculation and how these things propagate. They happen because they're supposed to, right? It's like a virus. First of all, the environment has to be made suitable for the virus to be able to flourish. And the virus gets in there and it replicates. And it replicates to the point that it gets so full that well, so they say, because hell, viruses might not be real, but that's another story. It replicates to the part where it gets full and it bursts. And all those viruses have to go and find another uh, place within the environment to propagate. And that's how these movements start. I've been studying a lot about mass movements lately, a lot. And in your example of the Bobby Hemmett, that wouldn't, excuse me, the Brother Panic, that couldn't have happened without Bobby Hemmett. And he couldn't have happened without the Afrocentric movement. And that couldn't really happen without, Elijah Muhammad, Nation of Islam. And it goes back. But what we see here is that there's a thought virus that was injected into an environment that was ripe, right? You've got a lot of, first of all, oh my God, you have to have a group of people who feel disenfranchised, who feel robbed, cheated, broken, hopeless. You take a group of people who don't have a way to get what they want, what they need, right? And you inject a philosophy that can connect them to where they want to go. In this case, we have Black people, so-called Black people in America, who don't have a way, who are being treated awful, right? And there's nothing to save them, nothing to help them. But you bring a philosophy that empowers them now. Now they see a way out. And that way out, that hope, right? Because hope inspires a nation and changes the world. It's hope that does that. So these people go from having nothing, no support from the government, but now they got a philosophy to believe in, and that brings them strength in numbers because they unify, right? Now from this hope, now there's power and strength, and they're fighting against the system. Who is that? Godflow 93 says an egregore. This is egregore science. You're absolutely right. But I don't want to say that because we got some muggles here. The audience, not true. But anyways, from this Nation of Islam thing, now we've broken away from the egregore of Christianity. Now we have something new to believe. Not an improvement, a new opportunity. Amar, you catch that? Not yet. Okay. So it's not an improvement offer. This is a new opportunity. And this is why it flourishes so much. So then once that gets saturated to the point that growth is no longer really possible because it's filled to the brim, it has to explode now. And viruses from that culture have to reach a new place and repeat the process. So now we've got the Afrocentric movement. We're going back to Africa, African people. We've got a heritage now. We got pride and our Black history that's been hidden from us. A new opportunity now. Get out of the white man system. We got the Black system now, right? And that swells to the brim until it becomes too saturated because a lot of us are either Christian or Muslim. But we need something new. Here comes Bobby Hemmett. Fuck all that religion stuff. We got the ancient gods, right? What if God was the devil? Fuck them damn kids. This shit is over. All his key slogans. This was a group of people who were ripe, right? They wanted new change, right? We've been through the Afrocentric. We've been through the nation. We're not slaves anymore. We're removed from that generation. We need something new to give us hope and strength. So now we've got the Bobby Hemmett, and that grew into the Brother Panic. You see how this operates. Now everybody's like, chaos, dark side. I don't have to follow rituals. I just do what I just do however I want to do it. Do what thou wilt. What's the other one? Nothing is true. Everything's permitted, right? Guess what? Guess what? Now that's oversaturated. And we have what's called panic pretenders, where people just mimic everything that Brother Panic has said. A lot like what you talked about, Winter, where these dudes just mimic everything that Kevin Samuels has said. No original thought. They're just filled to the brim with that virus. Well, we're in a new environment now where we're not slaves. We didn't go through the 60s or the 80s. We've got a new environment with a new world, and we have a new hope. Well, rather we have new pain. So we're in need of a new hope.
Yeah, I noticed it a lot with even the Barack Obama. It's like Well, I remember like years ago when Barack just got elected, and my parents were telling me like, yeah, this is going to be great for the image of Black people. You know, like people can actually see themselves in these positions. And I was pretty much rebellious young. So, you know, I always adhered to like, yeah, but he did all these kind of things and he did this and then that. But I noticed that people were more focused on the image of what Barack Obama represented versus what he was doing. And it's just like no matter what you would say, like, but yeah, but he did this at this place, they'd be like, no, he's the first Black president. And it's like now I kind of understand where they're coming from because it provided them a sense of comfort. It provided them the image to where they could see themselves in that part, that point of view, like a kind of a visualization technique for them. And it's just like political views aside, it's like I see what Barack Obama represented for a lot of Black people. It's like he represented change, he represented hope, and that was even his
Oh,
slogan.
oh,
Yeah, that was even his slogan. Like Obama means change.
if
You
I
know.
can get this little bitty shit out, imagine what these government folks and anyone who deals with the mass media already knows. The books about what I'm talking about were written in the 50s and 40s. This ain't new science. We
It's
just don't care.
it's like the
David Snyder was quoted in an article about Barack Obama's synthesizing language, like how all his like speeches used NLP and all that. It's like,
Yeah. Damn, now that I think about it too, because my friend he used to collect comics, and then he was like, "Oh man, they made the Blue Lanterns off of like their thing was hope, and then their color was blue." So I'm like, "Damn, that was like that was also an overflow of that egregor or that virus into the comic world."
Trev, where do you think, since you've been like studying the patterns, obviously from all like you were talking about like the Afrocentric to Bobby to Panic, so where do you think it's going now?
That's not for me to say. It's for me to show, though.
Shit. All right, man.
So,
Yeah.
like, that reminds me also what Winter was saying about, you know, people still stuck on like the color and the racial stuff. They're stuck on it because they're still in that oversaturated bubble, right? This is what I meant when I made that post about nobody really saw the magic that Bobby Hemmett was doing or Brother Panic was doing. It wasn't let's worship new gods. No, he was taking a group of people and transforming their mindsets. They did a national magic. But Bobby Hemmett isn't nationally recognized, but he literally changed the country, in turn changed the world. Because what he did was he inspired a lot of people to think differently. And when people think differently, they behave differently. It's because of Bobby Hemmett, we have people like us, literally, directly. And it's people like us who, you know, we influence the people around us, even more so tomorrow than we do today. So these people who are still, you know, stuck in the whole paradigm of, you know, melanin and Black folks, we gods, we kings, you know what I'm saying? There's elements of truth to that, sure. But you got to understand that that thought virus that you're saturated with served a purpose. And that purpose is accomplished now. It's time to learn new things. That same thought process isn't going to develop new things. The environment has changed. So that virus is now dead. Doesn't get you anywhere. It gets you beat up, you know, socioeconomically. We was kings. True, but what can you do with that? What can you produce with that? We don't need that anymore because we have it already. I know I'm a king, I'm a god, I got melanin. I know all that. I don't need to tell anybody. I don't need to convince anybody. It's time for new things. It's time to demonstrate that. If you're still on the stage where you got to broadcast it just because, maybe it isn't true for you, buddy.
Yeah, I remember seventh grade. It was the day. It was the day after Barack Obama got elected, and I went to school. And as soon as I walked in, it was raining.
Yeah.
As soon as I walked in, I was wearing some new shoes that didn't have any grip on the bottom. And I went to rub it in the face of this white boy, like, I told you Obama would win. Before I even said it, I just slipped.
Oh,
It fell on my ass, and that has stuck with me like to this day.
on your way
Yeah,
to brag. On your way to brag.
like that's part of the reason where it's taught me lessons of not bragging and not being on a high horse. It's just like, wow, like seeing, like that was even before Obama's administration. And like the day after he got elected, I slipped on my ass trying to brag about it.
What's
You
the
know,
Bible say? Pride cometh before a fall.
oh my God.
Literally.
Yeah, it's like I just remember how much that stuck with me. Not even Obama's administration, but the fact that I fell trying to brag about what this meant for me, not even having a clue. Like I just was on the pride wave, like,
Like
yeah,
lightning.
we did it. And it's just like, what exactly? And then the piggyback off that is just looking at a lot of what Biden is saying in his speeches. Like I know one video he was talking about his leg hair and how the kids would just talk like touch his leg hair or something like that. And that's why he doesn't like children or something like that. And he did this at like an urban neighborhood to speak, and I was just like, what? But in everybody else's head, they're eased by the fact that Trump isn't talked about anymore. Like, still don't have any idea of what's going on. But since Trump isn't being talked about and being shown in such a light, it's like everybody's been at ease, not bombarded at the forefront of their brain. It's just like nothing really has changed between what December and now.
Nope.
It's feels the same. Like everything is still the same. It's just that on the news, Trump isn't being talked about consistently, which is feeding into the opinions and the worldview of people. It's like,
The general public hasn't changed in a very long time, over 50 years, because the system has been perfected now. When they refer to the general populace as sheep and cattle and that sort of thing, it's not like we think. It's very almost literal. These people are herded within boundaries and they're given grass to eat, and they're led into the barn and they're milked, and they still, they're eating, and they're just mooing and just dangling and sexing and going about their cow business, but not realizing that they're on a farm. They're being used for milk and food and this, that, and the third, completely unaware. The farm isn't there to educate the cows to become super cows. It's meant to make sure that they're grass fed and gonna make some good Kobe beef or Wagyu beef or whatever it is you used to eat, Kristen, if you're still there. That's what
It's not a coincidence that all the
Wagyu.
in religion, like religions, they're all shepherds.
Shepherds.
yeah,
Not a big sheep, but a whole different species.
I hear what you're saying, but I see your actions.
I only do this.
And they were, and check out the tactics now. See, oh my God, so beautiful system. It's such a beautiful system. You point at the wolf and say, I'm protecting you from the wolf out there. You need to love, cherish, and respect me because I'm keeping you safe from that wolf out there. They never meet the wolf. Matter of fact, we might even orchestrate one of the sheep to escape and have that wolf set up to come and tear you to pieces. And we'll show you footage of him getting ripped apart. Look at the injustice that the wolves are doing to us. Look at them. We sheep lives matter. Meanwhile, nobody's worried about the shepherd who's, shaving you up, slicing you up, lamb chops, and,
Yep. That's a good analogy.
Great analogy.
Yeah, and Trav, have you seen The Village?
Yes.
Yeah, when you said when you were talking about the wolf, that reminds me like how when they finally go beyond the wall, they got the people dressed up in the costumes.
Terrible. I felt like sick at the end of that movie. Like it really hit me like, oh my God, that sucks. Where we at?
And what you said about the 50s, that reminds me of the Duck and Cover campaign. I don't know if you've read about it yet.
With the atomic nuclear.
Yeah. People were like teaching kids they could survive a nuclear blast by hiding like under like behind the curve of a sidewalk.
A curb of a sun. But yo, that's all that we need. We only need a little piece of hope. That's all we need. We don't want to face the harsh reality of a fucking atomic bomb. We're so attached to our lifestyle. If you can just give me a little bit of something to just confide in and hope in, I will take it. That's all I need.
Yeah, when I told you,
Snyder talked about the greatest instinct is the instinct for familiarity, like to keep it familiar.
We'll fight harder to keep what we have than we will to get something better. We'll fight harder to keep that $1 than lose it.
yeah, like
That's when the life insurance business started too, that same era.
damn, you know.
Beautiful.
Yeah, when you guys were talking about Moloch and the Sumerian and Babylonian things, like that's how I started off my focus challenge. Pretty much was just delving into it because synchronicities are kind of everywhere for me. So when I was finishing up my book, I was like researching this person's channel who just focuses on the parallels between Sumerian and Babylonian mythology and Christianity. And they had mentioned the chapter John 10. And I used that passage to finish up my book. And as soon as I finished it and wrote that passage down, somebody with the shirt of a bull, which is like Marduk or Moloch symbol, came into the store. And I was like, what? But this is like what John says. It's like, it has to do with shepherds. And I just scribbled that down. I heard it on their channel. And I was just writing it because it fit in my story. And it was like, and the Lord said, very truly, I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought all of his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. They will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech. Pharisees did not understand what he was telling them. Therefore, Jesus said again, very truly, I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them and have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. And at the very end, it's like, I'm gonna skip a bit. It was like, they too will listen to my voice, and there should be one flock and one shepherd. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life, only to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down for my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. This command I received from my Father. The Jews who heard these words were again divided. He is demon possessed and raving mad. Why listen to him? But others said, these are not the sayings of a man possessed by a demon. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind? And my whole book has to do with demons. And I was just like, wow, that's like really amazing, because like for those of us who have dwelt with like the Goetia or dark spirits, it's like those were the door openers for us. Those were the ones that led us to see that nature within us, whether if we were trying to get more money with Bune and trying to see we can get more girls with C3 or dudes with Asmodee. It's just like, it shows you that very nature. And it's just like, I don't know if you guys have noticed or if this happened to you, but the more you try to use that demon for your personal gain, the more it comes back onto you. Like, for instance, me using a demon for lust and seeing how the lust words. It's just like, I'll get that lust. I'll get exactly what I want, but then later on, it comes back around to me because that lust is going to kick me in the ass. It's going to show me exactly what about me wanting that lust is doing to me. And that's why I feel like the demons are teachers, eye openers and way openers, because it's like, not that they're doing something for you, because it's all you. You're just using that energy of those desires, that lower nature or that want to achieve a means to an end. And then eventually you start to see that, damn, like this was my own personal demon. Like I didn't call upon them, like they're already in me. You know. I don't know if you guys have had similar experiences, but it's like, yeah.
Hell, the lust demons might be the best teacher for that particular lesson. If you do the ritual right, you'll get what you want, but you quickly learn that that's not even what you really wanted.
Exactly.
I think that's what you're getting at when you said it'll come back to you.
Yeah.
It'll come back to you in a way that you didn't expect, that might feel negative, but in all honesty, it's teaching you a deeper lesson about yourself.
Exactly. And this is like, when it came back to me, it's like, for me, I interpreted it as fear. And my first response was to run away. You know, we all have our different responses to fear or danger. And my first response was to run away. You know, but upon further reflection, it's just like, damn, that was me the whole time. Like, I knew I was interpreting the signs and stuff as very negative and scary, but like, that was literally all from my mind. Like, all of it, just now externalized. And
Yeah.
I'm afraid of it because it's like, these are things that I've already taken in. These are things that I have done to others. But it's just like, put back at me. Just like, wow, dang.
I think Amar brought to my attention once through his Instagram that we're not suffering through life. We're suffering through our own thoughts about life. Life ain't doing shit to you, but your fucked up thoughts are. They're out to get me. We gotta. That's why you suffer.
In the Yoga Sutras, it says like you can't, or it makes no sense to blame another person because it's their mind doing it. So like, you know, if someone treats you badly, that's just their thoughts. That's just their machine operating. But they, you know, they're just being like led along.
Right. I respect the system. It's a beautiful system in that it works so flawlessly, and I mean, we're responsible for it. We should be proud of what we've created. You know, we we spend a lot of our time out here like trying to bash the matrix and, you know, vilifying Christians or whoever else, but you know that doesn't make us any better than the people you're supposedly vilifying. You know, you're doing the same thing by hating white Jesus or whatever you want to call it. You're doing the same. That's the same thing as Christians not hating the devil, right? It's a scapegoat. It the qualities, the content is the same thing of the spiritual community. The content is the same thing as the Christian community. So the best way to, the yoga, the yoga is the best way to look at this thing. This is the 0 point, because first of all, this is where Christianity came from. This is where every religion came from. The Vedic information. So to see it from this clear perspective before humans tainted it, you're able to see things as they are from the operating system of the individual. It's nothing to do with any group of people, none of them out there. Who cares what Bill Gates or anybody is doing? What's going on in that operating system? Are your thoughts correct? Ever notice how we're so quick to point and very slow to go within and fix an issue? Even at this point, during the focus challenge, I had to go within and struggle with something. You know, why am I having trouble with this? I'm supposed to be a master of myself. And I had to dig deep within my own emotional body and work out some imbalances. Like, this stuff is deep. Even in, I don't remember which book it was. I think it was in Samkhya Darshan. He says that even at the deepest level, Ahamkara is rooted. You're not going to get rid of Ahamkara just because you say some magic words. No, it's going to take a lot of work. So yeah, like you said, MC Maestro, can't get mad at these people. If anything, respect the system, analyze it, and do your best for what you got going on.
Thank you. But I think
they said Ahamkara exists even in samadhi.
Ooh. Say that again? What?
They said Ahamkara exists even in samadhi. So they say that even when you reach samadhi,
Damn.
there's still you still ain't gonna be getting out of the way of the Ahamkara. You just gotta learn how to control that shit.
Ahamkara still exists in samadhi. So all these folks out here talking about you gotta kill your ego. I didn't kill mine. Really?
Man, them motherfuckers crazy.
Yo, Travis,
Gotta kill.
in how the shooting they were talking about how each element has basically built of each element. So like Akasha, you know,
Hey,
that's by itself
I cannot understand you.
values.
Yeah, bro, we can't really hear you. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Was that
So
you?
like in
We heard
Taoist
that.
they were saying like how each element has each element. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay, so like how Akasha is first, and then it's air, and then it's fire, and then it's water, and then it's earth. So like when I seen that on like I was meditating on that and on a very good perspective, it's like then you take on the 5 gross elements of like 5 gross matters, whatever.
Mhm.
When you connect that together, I seen that okay, there's no reason to judge other people for their level of consciousness, because at the end of the day, you were there at one point, or you leveled yourself past that place, and through time, it's going to happen for those people. So there's no reason to judge, you know, any religious views or anything that they're attached to. You know, just going based off of what Trav just said.
Yeah. It's all part of one big system. No enemies and no separation. Dead gum. Stuffed Dog, do you remember if that was in Samkhya Darshan or Taught with Shooty, where they talked about Ahamkaras in Samadhi? I'll find it again.
Yeah, I'm checking Top with Shooty because I think it was there, but could be wrong.
I remember bringing that up at some point. I don't remember which book it was from, though. But they said that ego goes deep.
Oh yeah, it's page 53 of Tawa Shooty.
Okay.
Ahamkara is so deeply embedded that even remains to the stages of Savikalpa Samadhi.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in Patanjali, he was talking about like at the very, very final stage, you have to give up the even desire to seek union with God, because even that desire is like the hint of ego. So it could be like totally advanced and in that, you know, samadhi state, but even that has to be like go for you to move on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. But it makes total sense. I think one of the things that separates Buddhi from Ahamkara is attachment. And what is desire but attachment? Even the desire for enlightenment. And I know that Niranjan Ananda said that No, it wasn't Nirvananda. It was Tapas 2017 on YouTube. He teaches about Samkhya Darshan. He was saying that it's useful because it's almost impossible to just get rid of desire, especially by will. But it's very useful to use the desire as a rajasic tool to reach towards enlightenment. Desire enlightenment. But like you said, MC Maestro, recognize that at some point you're gonna have to let that tool go. We have to let all tools go at some point. I had to let the Goetia go. It works still to this day. It can work for somebody who's never used it. But for me to still be talking about it, you know what I'm saying, as the end all be all thing, that does not indicate growth. And a year from now, or 2 years, depending, because you can't put a time limit on growth, you know, I should be a little bit past the techniques that I'm using today. And that's not to say that the techniques are flawed, but that's to say, as I begin to integrate the underlying message and teachings, my message should be different. It should be more cultivated, more refined, and more directly to the point. Justin Simmons says, be like Brother Man from Martin.
Raw man, yeah.
Bro, man, from the 5th floor.
5th floor. Stotwick State.
All right, y'all. I'm about to head out. I gotta get some things taken care of.
All right,
It was
Amar.
nice talking to y'all and seeing everybody.
It was nice talking to you, Amar.
Bye, Christian.
See ya.
Bye, y'all.
Take care.
Too.
Elora, are you still here? No. Guess not.
Guess not.
Guess not. Her 111 just came up in my measurements for my butters for the soap.
111. One, 1. So yeah, I'm very happy that the focus challenge was a thing that has happened, because that certainly put some pep in my step. These past 6 weeks, I learned a lot, and it wasn't even necessarily like new stuff. I was able to go deeper in the things that I really wanted to go into, and I found that there's so much information around me already that I was overlooking, you know. So there's something to be said about a deep and sustained practice. I realized that before, a lot of my practice was kind of just surface level, kind of skimming, and that's a good way to learn, to kind of just breeze through it, and then go back and breeze through it again. That's the main reason why I highlight, because I go through it, I highlight what I know is going to be important to look at again, and then I go back through the book, and I having reached the end of it, those highlights make a little bit more sense. But I learned that another excellent way to learn is to go deep in one sitting. So I wasn't really using Pomodoro technique before this challenge, and it really has added some beautiful structure to my method. Because I know for them 25 minutes, no distractions, no nothing. Yeah, you can go get distracted after the 25, but for this 25, focus. That's really helped me finish some books.
Yeah.
That was like coincidental that synchronistic that like when you started the focus challenge, that's what you introduced. because I use it a little bit in school, but when I was reading Agora, I was reading it during work. I was like, I don't get too much stuff, so let me just read for X amount of minutes, then I'll focus on work, read for X amount of minutes, focus on work. Then like that week I finished that book is when the challenge started.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to the point where I was using it not just for reading, but for other things. And there's something about just using that 25-minute pocket to basically condition myself to not allow distractions. There, I don't remember what it's called, but there's this observation that we can get most anything done in the time that we allow it. So if you know that you got 10 minutes before you got to go to work, whatever you got to get done, you're going to get it done in them 10 minutes. Whereas if you
That's
got
the
all day to
truth.
do it, you might not even do it. I think I get most stuff done at right before the deadline.
Same.
So there's something to be said about having that pocket of focused time. I think that's why that technique works so good for me, because I'm that way. I need that limit to perform better.
Same. It's like because it helps to focus, it helps to hone it in.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, especially for someone like you who's got Jupiter on the ascendant, you know what I mean? It's because you're Mula. So that's, Sagittarius, Jupiter. So that's like all expansion. So your mind is wide open. So it helps it to hone it in when you have those limits.
Yeah.
Even that may be what Ophio was talking about. Or at least an expansion on that is when he talked about limits. You define goal, but you have to have that end, with that end statement, but adding time to it only like adds to that parameter. So you make it more specific.
Yeah. One of the 48 laws of power is to know when to stop. Essentially know the limit. Know what you're trying to go for, get it, and don't go any further. That's one of the 48 laws of power. And that's a little bit different take on what we were just talking about, but it's that concept of limitation. Because if you move outside of the limits that you set for yourself, that's not always a good thing. That's where Saturn, right? That's Saturn. That's where Saturn comes to define himself in importance, is the respect of boundary and limitation.
Yeah, when you posted 333 in the chat here, that was when we were talking about cycles. I wanted to jump in and talk about Saturn and how Saturn rules cycles and limitations. So, yeah.
Look what happened when we didn't put a limitation on how long these chats would go for. Mm-hmm. Chipotle. All right, guys, give me just a second. I have to disappear for a moment. But don't let that stop you.
So what did you guys do during the focus challenge? I might have forgotten, or I might not have been here when you discussed it.
I was reading. At first, I started off with Samkhya Darshan, I went back to talk with Shooty. Then I read a collaboration between Robert Greene and 50 Cent called 50th Law.
Mhm.
And then I spent about 2 weeks getting into the real technicals, the technical aspects of cryptocurrency, because before I was just focused on the monetary aspect, but I wanted to actually focus on the technology part. And then I think the very last week, because I started the Yoga Sutras, but the last week I just kind of wrapped it up.
Nice. Very nice. Seems like a very diverse mix of information for you.
Mhm.
Cryptocurrency has always been like an intimidating subject for me.
Yeah.
All right, Mickey.
See, Buckthorn. So what is this?
There's still a bunch of unknowns, but I was like, no, let me just sit down and try to understand it. And then the way I started doing it actually was teaching it.
Nice.
Best
So,
way to learn.
yeah.
Excuse me. Best way to deepen your learning. Please don't start out by teaching.
Right.
So when you first approached cryptocurrency, how were your feelings towards it? Did you feel like it was a big thing to undertake? And how did
Yeah.
you know, start? Like, what was the defining thing that made you start?
'Cause I remember I was interested in it like when I graduated high school, and my dad always listened to Alex Jones. Terrible thing. I don't recommend anybody do that for their health, but
Destroy the
he was
child.
like, yeah, he was like, no, Alex Jones said it's all a government thing, and control your mind and all that. I was like, whatever. But I noticed there was something about the technology there, and then like a year later, I tried to learn again, but the only information that was out was still very technical. So I just sat on it again, and then when like the final thing came, I think around November, December, when the bull run, supposedly started to happen, I was like, damn, there's an aspect to this technology here, like to utilize the technology to verify information. Kind of, it throws everything we currently have out the way, from like having a post office to identification. There's like so much. So I was like, and then the value on a lot of these projects are based on the value of that technology. So yeah, it was just daunting at first because it was just all technical information. But once you slow it down and focus on the specific aspect that interests you, I feel like that it opens up a lot of things.
So was the angle you approached at?
I'd say, yeah, definitely.
'Cause
'Cause
did you-
there's just so much I didn't know I could do. But go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. What was that defining? Like, what was going on in your mind? Like, what was that defining moment where you're just like, I'm gonna just jump into this? Like, what was your thought when you decided to jump into it? What made it go from intimidating to, okay, I'm gonna tackle it? What was that thought that you had?
Probably seeing, may have been actually the Ethiopia deal. So there's this one called Cardano, and it's run by IOHK. And the fact that they were using that same technology that runs their currency, they're using that same technology to kind of redo not the physical infrastructure like buildings and roads, but like the digital infrastructure of Ethiopia. And I'm like, damn, like this is the future, and there's something to this. So it's going to be like, if I just focus on the money, I'm probably missing out on a lot more opportunities down the road.
Right.
And I also did ritual with like the angelic correspondent to Bune. I can't think of the name right now. It was also to learn about stocks and cryptocurrency, and it happened like a few weeks beforehand. So yeah, that may have been a result.
That's pretty cool. Definitely was a result. And I asked you all of this because it's like, personally, when I'm trying to get motivated to do something, like I know I want to do it,
Mhm.
motivation factor is lost. It's like, what between those two defines, me being motivated and me actually doing it. You know? So for
Yeah.
you did that ritual. You prepared your mind in a way. It's like, okay, I want to learn this. Although I acknowledge that it might be a huge uptake, that ritual was just like, okay, I'm preparing my mind to uptake this task. And then a couple of weeks later, you say it may have had something to do with it. It seems like it did because it kind of lowered the barriers of your mind
Yeah.
for you to uptake that task. Because do you think if you hadn't have done the ritual, you would have approached it the same way?
Probably not. Approach it like any other time.
Nice.
I think it was how rituals are a subconscious mind, and then I did it repeatedly as well. So it got like, it's like how you were talking about patterns earlier. It put that pattern in my head,
Mhm.
just like the blueprint of wanting to learn.
How many times did you do it?
I did it. It was that one book from Gallery of Magic. So I did like the 11 days, starting on Thursday and ending on like the following Sunday.
Nice. Nice.
And I carry that over to other ones. But go ahead, Jeff.
That's Angels of Magic.
Yeah, I have like whatever was the very last one they did with the Angels of Magic. So it might just be that one.
Cool.
So I carry that over to like whenever I do another one, I either do 7 days and I kind of feel like unclean doing that, or I'll just do it for an 11-day cycle. Because there seems to be something special about that number when it comes to repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Or the first repeating one with the same digit, who knows?
Hey, Veronica, how are you? And welcome back.
Hi, you guys. Long time no see. Hey. What's up?
Hey.
What's going on, you guys?
What's up?
Nothing. Here, running myself, driving around and working and the usual. Nothing changed. Just happy to hear you guys around. And it's raining in New York anyway, so. Yeah, what's going on? What you guys talking about today? The book?
Yeah. So we did the, it's mostly a welcome kind of thing.
Okay.
Next week we're digging into chapters 1 through 5, possibly 1 through 4 at the least. I'm doing a vote on my Instagram.
Okay. All right. Well, since the last time we talked about the challenge and reading books, it has not changed for me. Of course, I'm always reading and learning new stuff. Hold on. I pretty much read what I send you, some of the books of the yoga, yoga and mantra yoga. What else I had? I actually, believe it or not, surprisingly enough, some of the teachers up there, they were actually interested to learn mantras and yogas. And I'm impressed about that. I'm like, I have Miss Olivia, one of the supervisors from here. She's actually kind of interested to learn it. So I let her take the book. I told her, it has nothing to do with evil and antichrists and stuff like that. This is something with spirituality, which I told her from the beginning, you are the type of person that you look like you can use some kind of like energetic type of person. And I guess at that point, she didn't trust me as much, but now she was open and she's like, yes, I am open to these things. And she was doing now her meditations and, and stuff like that. Then I just got to meet with one of the teachers because she wants to teach some classes to estheticians, and we're trying to make things legal here in New York. She's also talking to me about energies, and she asked me about my business because as I text Travis, I open a business, and I put the name Katia, which is Hecate, and a different name. And you know me, I'm Hecatarian, and obviously this young teacher was like, "Is that a Greek name?" And then I was like, "Yes, it's a Greek name. It's Hecate." She's like, "Oh," she's like, "Yes, they still praying to this goddess." I'm like, "Well, yes, I'm like, I kind of like work with Hecate energy, but of course I had to explain to her that it's not like, hold on guys, is this gonna let me in?" I'm like, it's not the type of goddess that it comes from the outside. It's some form of energy that we activate inside. So she kind of understood the concepts, and she was like, and then she's like, all right, she's like, I think I'm interested, and I be working to it. And of course, here I am teaching again. So now I became a teacher, and now I started teaching her to how to contact her inner self of Hecate of herself. And then of course, we're talking about the meditations, all the stuff that we talk about in here with you guys. It's something that she gives me access to talk about. So about meditations, about sigils, and how you can activate your subconscious and conscious and all this stuff. And then you realize how much knowledge you have in that brain of yours. When you read, you collected all this data, and then you like, where the fuck will this knowledge come from? Like, Jesus, it's like, we started from one thing and we ended up from another one, and it's like, man, you like a freaking PDF, man. You're just reading and observing it, and you think that you're not, but your brain really observes all the information that actually interested you. So it's one thing of you learning how to read in like files or papers, and other one is learning how to read what really interests you, right? You're collecting more data on the stuff that really interests you. So pretty much it's that. And while we were doing all these meditations and the mantras and stuff like that, and the time that we left from the meetings from this group, I was, I feel like off of time, because we were so used to we meet each other every Thursday and Sunday. So then I guess like something out of me was like incomplete. Like every time, and I think you did a video, Travis, in the perspective like how to improve yourself with the spiritual, with the energies and stuff like that. And I was going through that, interesting enough, right? I was mentioned to you before that every time I get my paychecks, it was fucking horrible paychecks. So I was pissed off that I'm getting paid so low, knowing so much shit on myself, in my brain. And then I was like, you know what? Every time I was seeing these paychecks, man, so I was like, you can do better. You can do better. Something was telling me you can do better. And it's just like, couldn't sleep. And you remember that I was telling you about that kikiriki type of bird that, keeps singing the whole time? Yeah. Oh my God, those birds, man, they did not leave me alone. Like, kikiriki. Like if I go to one block, kikiriki. If I go to another block, kikiriki. I was like, Jesus Christ, like you literally have a stroke right there. So it was constantly. And then I received my paychecks, yo. Shit. I was like, you're a fucking idiot. You need to do better. So anyway, so I say, screw it. I'm going to start up in my place. So the birds were singing constantly. And then I went to this professor and I asked her if she knew somebody who can help me out to open a business, an LLC, liability insurance, because everything is insurance. So then she was like, yeah, she's like, my husband does insurances for LLCs for businesses. So I was like, is there any way that we can connect? So obviously this is the time that you guys and we separate. Everybody was doing meditations and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, is there any way that we can I can meet this guy so I can, you know, try to open a place. So she was like, of course. So I met him literally like 3 days after I had the conversation with this professor. So the guy was helping me to open a business, and it makes things so much easier because he was so kind to me that he helped me to find liability insurances that can cover every single thing that I do, like crazy stuff that I do. He find insurance companies that covers for me, and then I thought that he was going to charge me like $3,000, $4,000, and then he was like, no, he's like, don't worry about it. He's like, you are a friend of my wife. He's like, and I'll do it for free. So I was good. So he did not charge me funds by hand helping me. So now we are in the stage where I needed it to build clientele. And of course, I have to use my spiritual work. I have to do my mantras. I have to call my meditations. I think I sent you a couple of times one of the books that I was reading. And I was just, you know, trying to enhance the power, right? So I was like, I really need like to call people at this point. So 3 people show up on the business in less than 2 weeks. I have 3 patients on my own, finally. And then after that, I was asked to teach. So now I'm in the stage of like in the same building that I'm renting, I'm in the stage to open a place so I can start teaching students with licenses. After they graduate from the aesthetics, I can teach continuing education. And I have literally 3 strong teachers coming at me and asking me for teaching projects. So funds are going to be coming, and the kikiri kid that I was telling you, he's kind of relaxed pretty much right now. He's not singing anymore. I don't hear him singing like crazy anymore. So I was like, okay, so I guess that means that the energies do really want you to listen when you have to listen, right? Even if you try to ignore them, they're not going to leave you alone until you pay attention of the situation. And then somehow your instincts, your subconscious mind or conscious mind, it does tells you that you can do better, you know, than the situation you can be. So that's one of the stuff that I experienced during this time of you know, separating on the groups. Then of course, the full moon, the red moon that happens on Wednesday, I don't know, it's that energy that it was all strange, and you know, it was just, it is awesome. So yeah, so that's what I am right now, guys, pretty much. So I accomplished a lot of stuff, but at the same time, I do know that it's energy, right? So it cannot be denied that it's energy itself that's doing the work. Yeah.
Always good to hear progress.
It's 5 o'clock.
Thanks. Always good to hear progress.
Yes, always to the progress, and it needs to be done. I mean, oh my God, hold on, guys, because I'm driving, so I don't want to be like in trouble here. And yeah, I don't want to, you know, cause trouble up here. So anyway, if you are listening to your instincts, your subconscious, man, you're gonna get better, seriously. And now I'm teaching a few teachers too how to wake up the subconscious mind and do meditations and stuff like that. I mean, real meditation, Travis, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't sit for 8 hours, right? I don't sit for 8 hours or 10 hours, or, you know, I don't have that crazy time right now to do that. I'm like, but I do get time for my spiritual moments. I do that.
Yeah. I wonder if the real question isn't the length of the meditation, but the depth of the meditation. You know, looking at context versus content, I'm starting to see a pattern that things that go deeper are usually more substantial than things that take a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of people go to school for many, many years, but they only go deep into their subject for a couple of semesters. Sometimes it makes me wonder why we can't just do those few subjects and go deep into them. But, you know, I guess it's harder to make a bunch of money off the student that way.
Right. I really think that deeper is, I think for deeper perspective, it's kind of like you cannot ignore it, you know, like deeper is there. It's just like like you say, it's deeper. You cannot ignore it. You cannot ignore the facts. I don't know. It's crazy.
Trav, when you speak of deeper, like getting to the root of stuff, it's like finding out the true foundation of the stuff instead of all the added nonsense of explaining what this stuff truly is, right?
I think
Are you speaking in that kind of way, like in that?
Yes, in a way, because I'm speaking of getting to the foundation of it, getting to the why such a thing would exist. Going to learn about marketing, I don't want to. Going long is learning a long list of tactics to use, but if you go deep, you can understand why someone would put together a strategy, what a strategy could do for you, why the tactics work. Because if you go deep, then you don't need tactics. You can figure out what the point is so you can do your own thing. You don't necessarily get that from a long, extensive study. You get that from a deep study. Or like say working with demons and spirits. If I study for a long time, I'm going to get a long list of rituals and demonic names and different books to read, da 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 da. But if I go deep into why this whole thing was put together in the first place, you'll have a different practice. Taught with Shooty is an example of a deep meditation. Why do you ask?
Well, one of the triggers, relatable, because like I got into the deepness of like trading and stuff. So like now instead of teaching people, I'm teaching people the basics, but also I'm adding like, I found a couple books of these traders that used to trade back in the 1800s. And then boom, all these strategies that I've learned in the past 5 years is like, man, all these strategies literally came from this foundation, you know? So that's why. And then I could have cut all those strategies out and just looked at this book and would have, you know, but just like how you studied occultism and then you got into the, then you found, now you got into the yogas and you're like, yo, this is where all the foundation of all this stuff came from, you know?
Exactly. I study a lot about, you know, human psychology and language and how it integrates with the body, things like that. And there's a lot of new books coming out all the time, but I started going back to the foundation, to the origin. I'm reading books from the 50s, from the 40s. What's that book called? It's by Jay Haley, about psychotherapy. That book was written in 67. You know, there's other books that are written back then. And what we find is that there's certain things that have not changed. But as a matter of fact, all the people who are experts now and authorities now, they studied these old books. And that's how they were able to come up with what they came up with today. Just like all these new people who studied yoga and the Vedic system came up with their new systems. Why don't I just go back to the foundation and get that depth, understand why they put it together the way they did? It wouldn't be a good idea to base religion off of Brother Panic's videos. But if you were to go back before him multiple steps, you can see where he got his understanding from. I'm just using him as an example.
Or and what I realized, sorry, go ahead.
Or even something like, because you mentioned that old book for trading, something like wrestling, you know, that there's certain things that don't change. There was a wrestling manual, a wrestling book teaching you how to wrestle that was written in like the early 1900s. You could really still go back to that and learn from that. A lot of these new folks, you know, you might surprise them because That's a book that is like on the foundations.
Trev, were you into wrestling?
No.
Okay, I only asked because that's kind of something that you find a lot of mullah people do, wrestling.
What kind of wrestling are we talking about, though?
Like WWE, WWF, all kinds of wrestling, but it has a lot to do with like the dressing up and stuff.
Curve got it. No, I'm not.
And would you say, Trev, like going back to the older studies, they're actually a lot more simpler than the way the new presentations are of them?
Sometimes. Not most of the time.
Okay.
Let's take the Bible, for example. Thee, thou, thine, and thus.
Excuse me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So maybe a good idea would be if you just take a look at the thing that you're studying and find the human element to it and study that, because that's something that really doesn't change. Humans don't change. Technology changes, the tools we use change, the tactics and techniques change, but the human element is the same. So like if you were to look at trading, what if you could look at the psychology of trading? That's something that will not change. So I guess we got kind of lucky with that spirituality because the human element doesn't change.
And the psychology of trading truly does deal with monkey mind, like mastering that monkey mind.
Yeah.
If you want me to be honest, because like when you're in a trade, it might be going good, but the fact that you gain so much pain of losing, you might be in the trade for like 5 minutes and positive where you could have held it for an hour. So once you're in pleasure, you want to take profit. But once you're in pain, you hold on to that pain and you don't get out of the trade and you lose much more than you were supposed to, you know? And then once that pain element hits, it's like you don't want to go back to trading again, but you still go back because you want to find that pleasure again, you know? So it's like that monkey mind. Once you can master that and detach from the back and forth, that's when you can actually master trading. Because it's not about, once again, I win. It's not about I win 60% of the time. It's about what's your risk management? Are you trying to get rich tomorrow, or are you thinking longer term?
Yeah.
And can you handle the journey? That's it.
Yeah.
That's all trading is really about.
It's directly connected to the moon, legit directly. And those people get so emotional with it. But when you learn to cut that emotion out, then you are doing, as long as you are emotional about things, you're going to make emotional responses. People follow fear and what the memes are saying and anxiety, they follow. They really don't want to dig deep and do the research. And you can literally find the patterns in anything as long as you can find an origin point. And there's tons of them all through it. And even if you don't look at like the origin points of like the coins or the stocks, and you just look at it as a whole, it's directly linked to what's going on with the moon that day anyways. So that's allowing you to put a scientific aspect on it and remove the emotion of what will happen.
I lose all the money. I lose everything. Emotions.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Even if we look at like human nature and human interaction, like people like, instead of looking at the pattern for what exactly it is, they tend to add their emotion to it. and obscure the real thing that's going on, you know?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, don't get me wrong. Even when you somehow you're going to express those emotions. I mean, especially if you are saying like, you know, am I going to be rich for a short term or a long term? It's still going to have some kind of insecurities or suspicions or challenges. Yeah, eventually you're going to get rid of those emotions and be a little bit more or less scary, but I guess that it would take time. I don't know. I just talking. Yeah, never mind.
A lot about learning in this past 6 weeks. I think this past 6 weeks, this focus challenge, I really did an overhaul on how I understand different things, how I learn. And I think it's this changing of the framework of how I learn that's really going to catapult me to where I want to go. I learned that nothing has to be hard at all. Nothing's hard and nothing has to take a long time. Nope, not a thing. If there's something that I want, the hardest thing is deciding exactly what I want. After that, I got it because I know how to get it. I know how to get anything I want. That's what I learned in the past 6 weeks. And it has nothing to do with struggling for a long time. For some reason, that's what we think as humans and people, that we have to sit here and struggle for a long time. No. There's ways to get what you want. But the problem is most of us don't really know what we want. We want to feel good. We want to be comfortable, but we don't define what that life looks like and what kind of things exist in our immediate environment when we're experiencing that happiness and pleasure. But if we can define that, the next step is just moving towards it in a specific way. I'm not talking about wishful thinking and summoning Bew and hoping for some gold coins to drop in your pocket. But I am saying that it starts with clearly identifying what it is that you want. Life is easy. If you don't have what you want and you're struggling, well, it might be a good idea to find someone who does have what you want. Maybe start asking some questions. Because people aren't very good at hiding themselves. Everyone leaves clues. Ask any internet marketer. When it comes to our well-being and emotional happiness and things that we want that are not tangible, another thing that can really help us is asking the right questions. A lot of us are suffering in our minds because we ask lousy questions. Why me? Why is this happening to me? Why can't I be doing this? Why can't I have that? Those are awful questions. They're fucked up questions because the answer is always going to be something that makes you feel even worse. How can you answer why me with something that makes you feel good? Because we're talking about an emotional state here, and it's your language that puts you and keeps you in an emotional state. So your internal dialogue is extremely important. It's not just saying good things to yourself. It's really managing how that conversation is taking place. So this really comes into the whole being in awareness and being in the present moment and living in the now. I see why a lot of people can be intimidated or think that this is a difficult thing to do. It's very hard to stay in the present if you're used to being distracted and used to running away. If you're used to living in the future or the past. But living here means you've got to address what's going on now, what's going on in that conversation in that head of yours. What are you saying to yourself? What are you asking yourself? Are you setting yourself up for failure? Even the little things oh, damn, I suck. I guess I fucked up. I always fuck up. I'm accident prone. I have bad luck. All those little things that you say to yourself, your life is built upon years, and that's built upon months, that's built upon days. Your days are built upon hours, and the hours are built upon minutes. The minutes are built upon seconds, and those seconds are built upon now. And every now, you got to watch your language. Every now, you must be aware of what's going on. If you're not, something else is. And that something else is nature, which means you're a part of nature. You're a wild animal, a tree, an insect. Unless you are here now, you're just a part of nature. And nature's going to do with you what she wants. I like to watch videos of nature every now and then. I saw a terrible video. I mean, no value judgment. It was terrible, just as terrible as it was beautiful. I know some of you don't like gore and bloody guts and stuff, but I was telling Kristen about this yesterday. It kind of hit me. But basically, it was a Komodo dragon. Does anybody know what a Komodo dragon is? Well, anyways.
Yeah, if they hit you with that tail, you're gone.
Yeah, they fight each other with that thick ass tail.
Hell yeah.
So Komodo dragon is like this giant lizard, and it's really heavy, and it's got these little bitty sharp, well, they're not little, but they're really razor sharp teeth, and they've got all this bacteria that's extremely poisonous to mammals in their mouths. They eat monkeys like in one gulp. They're pretty big. So anyway, in this video, it didn't show the takedown, but there was a deer, a pregnant deer, nonetheless, who was in the clutches of a Komodo dragon. And she was gone within maybe 15 minutes. But this thing dragged her down, and it just began taking bites out of her, while she was still alive, screaming in pain, probably screaming for help and protest, while this thing was sitting here just taking bites out of her. It ripped open her gut, ripped open her womb, pulled the baby out, swallowed it whole, and continued to eat her guts until her screams started getting fainter and fainter because her lungs were being chewed up, and then she was dead. This is nature. This is nature. Was that evil? Should that Komodo dragon go to jail? Should he be arrested? Should there be a law to protect deers, pregnant deers? This is Prakriti, right? This is nature. This is the operating system that nature is built upon. That scenario there, the Komodo dragon, the deer, the pregnant. Was there a law to protect the baby deer? Are there police to stop no, none of that. All that is part of the facade of civilization. Civilization is an illusion. Humanity is an illusion. We're animals just like that Komodo dragon, just like those deer, and we behave in similar ways. Now, we do have laws that we've agreed upon to behave, politely to each other, so we don't go around killing each other and taking each other's things. But were anything to happen that set us out of this trance of civilization, because it's a trance, it's an illusion. If anything were to break that illusion, we would go right back to the animalistic behavior of Prakriti. So really, the thing that separates us from that behavior is being in the present moment. If you're not in the present moment, you're just like that deer. Hell, you're just like that baby deer, sleeping warm and cozy. Suddenly, the temperature changes in your environment, and these hormones of adrenaline start kicking around. Next thing you know, you're ripped out, swallowed up, and back to where you came from. I highly recommend meditation and practicing being in the now. Did I lose you guys? Is anybody still here? I scared them
No,
off.
you didn't lose us.
I Scared everybody off with my deer story. I can't believe it.
You know what's crazy is I heard another one of those stories today. It was about a lady, a murderer, who would feed people to her pigs, and they would eat the people alive and scream the whole time while they were, being eaten alive.
How's that setup go? How do you feed somebody to a pig?
So they would come there and she
Oh,
would end
man.
up getting drunk and high because it was like a place to live. It was like an off-grid place. They'd get all messed up and high, and she'd shoot them to injure them to where they couldn't get out. And so she'd push them in the pig pen, and the pigs would eat them alive.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, those stories remind me of what they say in the Yoga Sutras, where I think it was Indra, one of the gods, came down to earth as a pig, and he was enjoying his life as a pig. And the other gods was like, look at him. We need to go get him and wake him up. And that's basically the Prakriti trying to wake up everybody. So So Indra had baby pigs, so they went and killed the baby pigs. And Indra's just like, oh, okay, it's all good. I'll go ahead and attach myself to my pig wife. They killed the pig wife. And then eventually they killed him just to wake him up from his attachments to the earthly desires. I didn't say the exact story step by step, but in that way that they said it, though.
Nature can be a cruel place if you're attached to it, huh? Prakriti can be a cruel place if you're attached to her. No wonder the whole practice of yoga is geared towards liberation, geared towards getting out of this thing. And understanding that without placing value judgments. It's not that she's evil, nature's evil, because she produces beautiful things as well. But the beautiful and the ugly are all the same. We only believe something's beautiful or ugly because it's relative. The two of us are not attracted to the same qualities in another human being. We don't even have the same sexual preferences. How can you even know? But at the end of the day, we use these things to reach pleasure. We use these things to feel good. That's what we have in common. So if we can begin to see everybody from that standpoint of we all run for pleasure and run away from pain. You can see how everybody's built on that operating system. You can start to see the similarity. That's why I continually say there are no enemies, because each and every one of us are running away from pain and running towards pleasure. So essentially, we're all the same thing. We've just got layers and layers of perceived differences. Mm-hmm. Yoga calls it vairagya, which is non-attachment. Non-attachment. Whether, what did you say that god's name was that turned into a pig? It was Indra? Maybe.
Yes, I believe it was Indra.
Okay. Whether
I'll check. Sure.
Whether or not he attached to his kids or his wife, they were still going to die. He was still going to die.
And basically, along them trying to wake him up, he was creating excuses like, "Oh, you're saying I'm creating attachment, or you're saying I'm living a despicable life because you're looking at my life as a pig. But if you were living as a pig, you would understand." And that's just another way that humans tend to create excuses, like just like how you were saying when adding that value aspect to things kind of ruins the true essence of what it's doing.
Yes. Value judgments.
The one thing that stuck with me the most finishing Yoga Sutra, because I did Yoga Sutra, Tato Shuddhi, and that book, the trading book that I told you about during our 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
One things that really hit me the most in Yoga Sutra was the ego never allows us to accept things easily. That hit me because it's just like, just as like how people create so many different strategies towards life or whatever they do, they always create more of an obstacle than a simple way because of the intentions behind what they're doing, you know? Like the marketing teachers that create what's that dude? Not Russell Brunson. The dude that created is it Russell Brunson? The dude that created the internet marketing book? I forgot what it's called.
What's the cover look like?
Hold on.
You don't remember the cover?
No, I don't. We were talking about it too. I just forgot. Like, you know how like they say there's level 1, you get the basic people, level 2, you make it more expensive for the other people, level 3. Like the funnels. There you go, ClickFunnels, the ClickFunnels guy.
Russell Brunson.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So like instead of like just getting down to the true essence of everything they're trying to explain, they tend to create things based off of their own intentions. And that's kind of like obstacles for people to go through instead of them getting the direct information. Is that making sense? Like the ego always creates obstacles rather than just accepting things easily.
Yeah, but for your example that you used, I think the problem would be more that we relate what we're receiving to our current level of experience. So I've been studying Russell Brunson's books for 5 years since they came out, and I've been studying them over and over and over and over again. And I understand now at a much greater depth than I did 5 years ago. We always relate what we learn to where we are at. Now that might have to do with the fact that we are resistant to change, like you said. But I think somebody here in the chat said something in the whole realm of, I think it was God Flow 93. You can understand more about spirit in a blade of grass than you can from all these books, which is true. It's dependent on your current perspective at the time. But see, that's why I love a practice like taught with Shuddhi, because it helps to purify the self. It helps to purify that perspective, that viewpoint. Because see, look, it doesn't matter what I tell you and what you read. If you can experience the fact that you're more than just this body, if you're more than just your memories and your opinions, if you're more than just your house, if you're more than your city, more than your country, more than your race, if you're more than this whole planet, you start to see things from a different perspective. So then when you come back and study, you can receive it differently. But most people think that they are this hard meat suit of a bunch of invisible definitions, race and country and all these other things that don't matter outside of being in this meat sack. The reason why we can't take any of this with us is because it doesn't really exist. It's an idea that we agree upon. This don't mean nothing. It's an idea that we agree upon. I can trade this for this because it's the same thing. Namaste.
Makes sense.
Namaste.
Trav, are you gonna be picking back up on the one-on-ones with people, like the once a month, or no?
Yeah, I just gotta find.
You didn't sound excited.
I gotta find a better way to do it. Like, it's difficult to manage a bunch of people at once. I mean, I'm just one dude, and I got other stuff to do.
Yes.
I got to figure out a way to, whether I got to increase the price or maybe do like a group thing, or I just got to figure out a good way to do it for me, basically. Like I expected people to respond, but I didn't expect so many people to respond. So I have some ideas. Plus, I got to do something that I'm really passionate about. Like, right now, it seems like I really want to help other people learn how to do social media. So I'm gonna figure out. I'm sure everybody wants to do that. So I need to figure out some kind of criteria that I want to work within. You know, maybe specifically people who want to do spiritual type of social media. People who want to maybe do like a spiritual YouTube or Instagram or whatever. And maybe we can make like a little mini group. You know what I'm saying? Because it'll still be within the realm of what I'm already doing. But yeah, the whole thing, to answer your question about one-on-ones, I just got to find a system to where I can manage my time. That's all. Because I love working with people. I love helping people get to where they want to go. You know what I'm saying? Because oftentimes when I sit down and talk to somebody and I can see what they're struggling with, it brings me joy to help them get over that obstacle and to like go with that Rubik's Cube and shift it so that now they can actually do what it is they want to do. That's a lot of fun to me. But it takes time to do that. You know what I'm saying? Some people it takes a year. Some people it takes a few days. But I don't really know that until after I start working with them. Some people I enjoy working with for a year. Some people. All right, now we got to go ahead and wrap this up. Not to sound mean or anything.
Are we still doing Thursday, Travis, or no? Are we meeting Thursday or no? I'm paying the schedule.
That's a good question.
Somebody asked good questions.
That's a good question. Let me get back to you on that.
Yeah, think about it. No problem.
So we're really working to flesh out this school, right? And my biggest problem was time and my energy, right? Making a bunch of classes, it's time consuming and kind of difficult. So as a solution, I thought it not robbery to maybe collaborate with some people to help me with that goal of teaching multiple subjects. So that's the direction that we're moving in for the rest of this year. An actual school, a place online, of course. I'm not building no physical school like Dr. Umar, but unlike Dr. Umar, mine will actually be completed. So we've already got a few people lined up that you may have heard of to teach on their specialty. And it's all about helping people go from not understanding and incorrect assumptions to practical methods and getting results. Coming soon to an internet near you.
Well, I'm a teacher if you want me to teach. You know, I teach. That's what I do for a living.
I know.
Part of my living. Part of my living is teaching. And now that it's on and I'm already teaching teachers. Part of spirituality. I'm like, seriously.
Same.
It's amazing how we end it. You are like me eating cookies, man. That's what I'm eating for dinner right now.
They're not peanut butter cookies, are they?
No, bro. They like, but wait a minute. What kind of cookies is this? Oh, brain building cookies. Huh, shocking. It's butter type of cookies. Butter cookies. And it's from Goya, okay? Goya, you know the Goya? You guys know Goya?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Goya cookies. Ta-dun, ta-dun. All right. All right. You guys, happy to see you back, to hear you back, to hear you chatting. I hopefully will see you on Thursdays, because on Thursday, definitely I'm going to be talking more. All right, now I have to hit the road.
All right. Have a good day.
See you soon.
Bye, Veronica.
Bye.
Peace. I think I'm gonna get out of here too, Trav. Got a couple things I gotta do.
Yes. Same here, man. Thank you for this. I missed you guys.
Yeah,
Please be safe. And yeah, later, guys.
Later. Good to see you.
Peace out, everybody.
Or
Well, to be honest, now that we done brought up that school again, I'm excited to get back to work on it. So, I mean, if you guys want to continuing, we can continue. But if not, then maybe it is a good time to wrap it up. What the hell? Why do y'all send me that stuff? All right. Well, Kristen, Knight, Stuff, William. I got anything else y'all want to cover before we reconvene?
Not as of now. I'm good.
You see what I just sent you?
Let me see.
Ha ha. That wasn't my reaction.
Oh my God. No. You're in therapy, huh? Oh my gosh.
Why is it just sticking up like that?
Oh God.
You said you'll update the Instagram on whether you make the decision on 4 or 5 chapters.
Yeah, I just posted on my story for people to vote.
Cool. And during this session we got here, this meeting, a lot has resonated. A lot of synchronicities that I've seen myself happen, and yeah, I'm just in agreement to everything that was heard and real appreciative of the service and group that you guys provided.
Awesome. Glad to hear that this is, speaking to something that you already got going on.
Mm-hmm. Like I feel like, on your search, you're going from teacher to teacher. You're taught to not just pay attention to one thing. That's kind of why you've broken out a religion for a person, and just that not the end goal, but just some of the paths along your journey take you to meet up with likewise individuals and to find groups like this when it's like, okay, I must be at this stage of learning on my journey or so, or perhaps I'm being guided in the correct direction.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. Like the teacher that you meet at that time is lesson you're supposed to be learning at that time, but some people get attached, right? And then
Yeah.
when it's time to move on, they don't move on. That's when we start getting some issues. I got nothing bad to say about both Bobby Hemming and Brother Panic, but they were my teachers at a time, even though it was just through YouTube. Still, I learned a tremendous amount from both of those guys and many others. But I watched Brother Panic, Bobby Hemming so much and absorbed so much what they taught. I really don't have to watch them anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, you don't continue to watch the teacher to continue to be a student. You want to grow, Right. So eventually you will not necessarily need that teacher anymore. Like even in, I guess I don't want to say karate just to pick a certain aspect out, but any discipline, you're eventually going to reach that master's if you continue it. Otherwise, other than to master yourself, why would you join that activity? So along that, there will be eventually that time where you separate from your trainer or teacher and or help them continue to grow and or not necessarily battle them, but there comes a point in time where you're not going to need that teacher anymore, even if it's that teacher's time to go and he says, I've taught you everything, blah 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 blah, but it's time for me to leave this realm or whatever. There's always that constant area to grow that'll keep the system going for you. And that's the difference between I feel like that could be a difference between not holding on and just like as religion would be to bond you or shackle you or anything like that. Just to take the teachings and not being so much love. Basically what I'm saying is like everyone's paying so much attention to the fruit or the hope, the tree or the hope, like you said. Because when you were saying that, I was like, oh yeah, Barack Obama's thing was his slogan's hope. So everybody's paying attention to the tree and they're not necessarily paying attention to the fruit because that's what's important. The fruit that the tree gives off. You can't eat the tree, so you're going to have to make sure that fruit is good. And in looking at the person, we get too attached into the tree. But none of that, all of that's basically to say that I'm glad to be a part of you guys' group here. And a lot of what you said is definitely time for me to hear and to put in practice and hopefully grow within.
We're glad that you're here.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Glad to have you. Yeah, just like what we were saying about content and context, like Curve was talking about with maybe going to some of the older books or going in depth. Like, one of the reasons that I can say that, I don't need to watch Bobby Hemmett or Brother Panic to move forward, not because I've been watching them for a long time, right? Some people say that because it's been years, but that's not what I mean. I mean, because I went deep with them, like watching their videos, I literally took pages of notes. You know what I'm saying? Damn near every time they mentioned a book, I bought it and I read it. I studied it. And I did this over years. You know what I'm saying? To the point that, okay, I understand where he's coming from. I can see him eye to eye. That's why he's saying that. That's why, instead of people who are just repeating what he's saying because he's saying it, and that's what you're supposed to do when you have a teacher. If this is something that you want to learn, you listen to what they're saying, you take the books that they recommend, you research the things that they're saying to verify them, to check them, right? Independent research. And you dig deep in those, because just like them, I give books. All the books that I'm studying and reading, I'll tell you the title, you ask it, I'm gonna give it to you, because I don't want to keep you, you know what I'm saying, as my little whatever, but I want you to learn this stuff because it's helped my life. And I know it can help your life. If you're a human being with a human style brain, it's going to help you become a better person. The best way to graduate from your teachers is to understand what they're teaching. That's what I do. I dive deep now. My current mentors, I bought their courses and I'm studying everything that they're teaching twice, cover to cover, tutorial videos, watching the tutorial video again. I need to know what you know. I don't want to hear what you're talking about. I need to absorb the essence of what the hell you're talking about, because you obviously know it. I'm trying to know it. I love learning. I don't think there's any better way to spend life. Obviously, y'all folks in the chat love learning too, because you keep coming back. Either that, or you love my awesome jokes and beautiful face. Probably that last one.
I'm gonna actually head out myself.
What? Come on, man. What the?
Oh man. Oh man. What's wrong? Are you saddened?
So that's what's wrong with y'all now. Always leaving and shit. Okay.
Look, man, we're all focusing on our daily lives.
Oh, now you got a daily life. What kind of? This ain't got a damn thing to do with Jesus.
The real challenge is not the focus, but we focusing on the wrong thing.
See? So we got it all twisted up. You focusing on the challenge, but the challenge is the focus. You feel me? Peace.
Feel? It's been nice talking with you all.
Have an excellent evening.
You do the same.
All right, everybody. I think it's that time. Kristen, I didn't go to sleep until Jeez Louise. I stayed up a long time.
We're supposed to sleep.
What?
Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. Shoot. Can you hear me?
I'm not sure what these strange sounds are, but all right, time to go. You know, I know that we can make this part last forever because I don't like saying goodbye, but it must be done. It must be done. So look, next week we're definitely reading 4 chapters, the first 4 chapters of Taught with Shooty. But if you think you can squeeze in that 5th chapter, go to my Instagram page and vote yes. I want to read all the way to the 5th chapter. And that's what we will cover next Sunday, right? So this is the Taught with Shooty book study. This is what we're doing right now. Chapters 1 through 5, hopefully, is what we'll be studying and talking about on the next meeting. So if you don't think you can handle 1 through 5, you just want to do 1 through 4, vote on my Instagram story. Just go to the Instagram, click LVX777, go to my story, and then type chapters 1 through 4, or chapter 1 through 5. All right, do that, and we'll come back and talk about this stuff. Yeah, keep going. We're getting better and better. Kristen, are you talking? Sounds like you're under the ocean. Hey, Kristen. Okay. Also, join the magesociety.com. That way you guys can talk to each other without Facebook. All right, if that's everything, I'm going to shift gears and go do something else. Appreciate
You can hear
guys.
me now?
Oh, now you want to pop up.
I'm sorry. I know you're closing out. I just wanted to say goodbye. I didn't want to just leave like that. My bad.
You're going to pop up.
I unplugged my Bluetooth. It was picking up all sorts of interference.
Right on. Did you get any ghosts?
Pardon?
Did you get any ghosts?
Any ghosts? No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not on that time, but I mean, I've gotten them before.
I see.
Well, I will let you go so you can do your thing, but it was an awesome show and we will talk later.
All right.
Peace.
Hear from you. Peace.
Talk to you.
And peace to everybody. See y'all next time. Check out themagesociety.com. Continue the conversation. Ask your questions. We're going to do chapters 1 through 4, maybe 1 through 5. Themagesociety.com. It don't cost nothing. But if you are part of the study group, there's a Taught with Shooty section that only you can access because you're super special. So, to all 40 of y'all, I'm out. Check out magesociety.com. Vote on my Instagram story if you want to go all the way to chapter 5 or just chapter 4. All right. Your input helps me out because I can know how far y'all are willing to go, what y'all want to do. We move together. You feel me? All right. Peace, everybody. Peace, Gerson and Balo. Peace, independent recording artists. Peace, Alchemy Gold. Peace, legitimate legati. Peace to everybody who's got that Phoenix icon. I see y'all. Y'all been here for a long time. I appreciate you. Peace to everybody. Mo B, good to see you. Hikate, bless you. All right. All right. Straight Panther, peace, bro. Peace. Relo Torin, peace. Thank you for that audiobook of Taught with Shooty. Maybe you could share it in the magesociety.com so that those who would like it can get it. I was recording an audiobook until I found that. Then I figured out, I guess I don't have to then. I made it to chapter 4, ironically. Maybe I could post that if you guys want to listen to it while you're driving. All right. Peace, Toby878. The Asia Divine Jewel, good to see you. Godflow93, peace. Soul brother. All right. I guess that's that. TheMageSociety.com. It's been here for a while. It went to sleep, but now it's awake. For a reason. All right. Okay. Alchemy Gold says, yes, audios, please. All right, I guess I'll finish it. I got the first 4 chapters. I might as well, right? And this dude that Relo Torrin showed me, he's got the audiobook uploaded to Bandcamp. So you can find that Taught with Shooty on Bandcamp. I'm gonna try that. That way I don't have to make a whole ass video. I can just upload it to Bandcamp. That's genius. Why didn't I do that before? I can do lots of audiobooks on Bandcamp. Okay. All right. I can keep talking forever. We're gonna have a Vedic astrology meeting night. One of these nights. We gotta figure out what day we want to do it on. And Kristen can just take over and talk about Vedic astrology stuff, and you guys can ask her questions and all that. Who knows, man? We might even have one night a week so that you'll never be bored. If you need something to do or something to study, you can always come to the Mages Society, Mages Academy, and get your learn on live. If that's what you guys want, we'll make it happen. 2022. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Mages, here with LVX777. I love you guys. Peace. Peace out, Dickie.